All right, let me start off. Let's not wait for others to join. Let them come. So let's move to next topic of discussion, which is almost at the verge of last discussion with respect to what if in financial assets I have changed my mind or intention of holding is completely changed. That is, earlier I invested in bonds. Say earlier I invested in bonds with an intention to hold it till maturity, but now I have changed my mind and I am thinking of selling these bonds if I get a good rate. That means held for sale. So your accounting should change from ACM to OCI. Like that, you may hold some investments in equity shares with an intention of trading, or your intention of holding is only for profit making. But later on, your intention has changed such that now you would like to hold those instruments with an objective of gaining some additional control in the company. That means your mode of accounting should change from FVT P&L to FVT OCI. So like this, there are few possibilities of changing. There are few possibilities of changing your accounting methods. Okay. So in such cases, we call it as reclassification of financial assets. Okay. So we are discussing about the last topic in financial assets, reclassification of financial assets. How many types of reclassifications can happen? All put together, if you see, there are maximum 6 probable cases. What are they? Say if I am right now adopting ACM for my financial asset, I can reclassify it to P&L or I can reclassify it to OCI. Say I am right now holding an instrument using FVTPL, I can reclassify it to ACM or I can reclassify it to OCI. Third possibility, if I am right now holding an instrument under OCI, I may reclassify it to ACM or I may reclassify it to P&L. If at all I reclassify them into either of these scenarios, what would be the impact? Where should I take my impact to is the question. Okay. So for that, please see the notes which I have given. Please see the notes which I have given. So reclassification of financial assets. So current method, if it is ACM and I decided to move the classification from ACM to P&L, in such case, any gain or loss is transferred to P&L account. Any gain or loss is transferred to P&L. Same way from ACM to OCI, even then gain or loss is transferred to P&L only. Okay. Thirdly, if I move from P&L to ACM, in such case, it is transferred to P&L. If I move from P&L to OCI, even then it is transferred to P&L. Gain or loss in the account, whatever gain or loss is there, it is transferred to P&L. What is most important is last 2 categories. Please see. Say for suppose from FVT OCI, I am reclassifying the instrument to ACM. When will this happen? Say I have an instrument in hand. Say it's a bond. I have purchased a bond. which I am right now accounting under FVT OCI. When will I account a bond under OCI? When I purchase the instrument which has got principal and interest components, contractual cash flows in it, and the intention is to sell it whenever I get a good price. Then I would have initially classified it as FVT OCI. But today I have changed my mind and I thought I'll hold it till maturity. That means I should not show it at FVT OCI. Instead, I should bring it down to ACM. In such case, this situation arises. Then what has to be done is gain or loss on fair valuation has to be recognized in OCI reserve. So recognized in OCI reserve, the entire accumulated balance in OCI reserve will be reversed from carrying amount of FA. That means you are bringing your financial asset value to original cost. Generally, that's what we did in ACM also, yes or no? In ACM, fair valuation is done only initially once. Post that, no fair valuation is done. So when you are reclassifying from OCI to ACM, you are supposed to bring the asset such that it is just like a fresh asset under ACM. Okay, so that's what you are doing. Should be reversed from carrying amount of FA. Therefore, FA will now appear at its cost. That means original cost. So this is what you do if you reclassify from OCI to ACM. Last category, FVT OCI to FVT P&L. Mark this important, very important in fact. Mark this important. When will I reclassify something from FVT OCI to P&L? First of all, I may have shares which I have purchased with an intention of strategic purposes, with some strategic purposes in my mind. But today I have decided that I will not continue to hold any strategic purposes. I will hold them till I get a good profit and sell it off whenever I get a good profit. In such case, you can consider it under classification under P&L from OCI. So this is important. Please see, gain or loss will be recognized in OCI reserve. The accumulated balance in OCI reserve till date of reclassification will be transferred to P&L. Okay. However, this balance cannot be transferred to P&L if FA is an equity instrument. That means if your reclassification is done in case of an equity instrument where it is being done under OCI, in such case alone, you cannot transfer it to P&L. This balance cannot be transferred to P&L if the FA is an equity instrument. The accumulated balance will be transferred to retained earnings directly. Reason, it is not earned in just 1 year, it is capital appreciation. So generally what is taken to P&L is what is earned in this financial year. But in OCI, it's not just what's earned in this financial year, it may contain multiple financial years income. Hence, whatever is in the OCI will be directly transferred to retained earnings. That's the logic behind why we adopt this reasoning here for specific equity instruments alone. Okay. So in practice also, this is what we do. So I have given you directly what we are actually adopting in practice. So this is regarding how accounting should change when you move from one existing method to new method of accounting. Now let us pick up the questions fast. Yeah, please see the questions. I think we missed out 8th question in between. Let us do that. But since we are in this flow, let us first finish off reclassification problems and then we will go to others. Okay. Now take out 9th question. Bonds having a carrying amount of 1 lakh measured under ACM, now reclassified as FVTPL. Fair value on reclassification is 90,000. So any fair value changes will be taken to P&L if it is moving from ACM to FVTPL. Yes or no? So hence entry should be as bonds at FVTPL account debit 90,000, P&L account debit 10,000 to bonds at ACM 1 lakh. That means initially it was 1 lakh, but now you are bringing it to 90,000. So I'll just quickly write down. Yeah. So entry for this reclassification would be bonds at FVTPL account debit, P&L account debit to bonds at ACM. Values would be 90,000 is the revised value, 10,000 is the loss on reclassification, and 1 lakh is what's originally recognized by us. That's all. This is only the answer. Okay. Next 10th question, please see. Bonds having a carrying amount of 1 lakh measured at ACM now reclassified as FVT OCI, fair value is 90,000. So same question, answer does not change. Only difference is here in the heading, in this part, bonds at you are supposed to mention it as FVT OCI, and any changes, any fair valuation changes will be taken to P&L only in this case also. Okay. So let's move to next question. Eleventh question. Bonds having carrying amount of 1 lakh measured under FVTPL are now reclassified into fair value, reclassified into ACM. Please mention it as ACM, guys. Here it is ACM. 11th question, it is ACM. So answer would be okay. Answer would be bonds having carrying amount of 1 lakh measured under FVTPL are now reclassified into fair value. Fair value is 90,000. That means original fair value is 90,000. That's what you are supposed to understand from it. So your answer in this case would be bonds at ACM debit 90,000 90,000, P&L account debit 10,000 to bonds at P&L 1 lakh. So this would be the answer in this case. Okay, next question. Bonds presently measured at FVTPL having carrying amount of 1 lakh now reclassified as FVT OCI, fair value is 90,000. So in this case, answer would be, so I'll just do the correction here so that you'll be able to understand what difference it makes. Instead of taking it as bonds at ACM in this previous question, it would become bonds at FVT OCI, and P&L account debit would be the same 10,000, and on the credit bonds at P&L 1 lakh would be the same. Okay, so this is the answer for next question. Yeah. 13th question, please see. Bonds presently measured at FVT OCI having a carrying amount of 90,000 now reclassified as ACM. Fair value on reclassification is 90,000 and in the past 10,000 loss was recognized in OCI reserve, past necessary journal entries. So you're supposed to do multiple things in this case. So please see, initially, first thing what you're supposed to do is loss, whatever is initially transferred to OCI reserve, that should be reversed. Only then you can change the, you can change the method of accounting. So in this problem, entry A would be for reversal of loss. Reversal of loss entry would be, I'm reversing it back. That means earlier there is a loss which is debited into OCI reserve account. Now I should credit OCI reserve. Okay. So bonds at OCI account debit to OCI reserve. By doing this, the loss which I have earlier created is now reversed. Now what happens is the bonds will come back to 1 lakh face value. That is original cost value. Now the same 1 lakh is now supposed to be transferred, that is moved from OCI to normal ACM. So in this case, entry would be bonds account ACM, bonds at ACM account debit 1 lakh to bonds at OCI 1 lakh. So this would be the answer in such case. Okay. Now let's move to next question. Fourteenth question. Bonds having a carrying amount of 1 lakh presently under FVT OCI now reclassified into P&L. In the past, accumulated loss in OCI is 10,000. Fair value is 90,000. Again, in this case, he did not tell you that it is what do you call as equity instrument. So that means whatever losses are there, they can be recycled to P&L. Okay. So first we are supposed to transfer those losses to P&L, and then we will account for the instrument. Okay. So first, for transfer of losses, entry would be P&L account debit to OCI reserve, which would be 10,000. Post that, for conversion of bond, so bond at FVTPL account debit, he says fair value right now is 90,000 only. So you're supposed to take 90,000 and again you would take it to P&L account debit for 10,000. Right now there is the loss, and bonds at FVT OCI will be 1 lakh. Okay. There is a question from Nandini. At ACM, the face value would not change, right? Okay. Which question are you pointing at. If you could tell me, maybe I'll answer it better. 13th question. Huh? All right, clarified, it seems fine. Okay. Now, what is this 10,000 of loss again? This is now arising on revaluation. It is adjusted against P&L. Even if we debit to OCI reserve, such accumulated loss will again get transferred to P&L. So that's the reason why I have directly taken it to P&L in this case, in this last problem what we did. Okay. So with this, I think all questions on reclassifications of financial assets are done. Okay. So 15th question onwards, it's about financial liabilities. Before we go there, there is one problem which we left out. 8th question, please see. On 1st Jan 2018, X Limited purchased an investment in bond at 100. It incurred transaction cost of 2. On 31st March 2018, the fair value of bond is 98. Transaction cost is 1. Show accounting in the books of X Limited. Now, did he tell you the method in which you are supposed to account it? He did not tell you, but what we will do is we will try accounting it in both methods, so that in examination, if he asks you either of these methods, you should be in a position to solve. Hence, now I will do it both the methods together, so that it will be easy for you to compare. Yeah. So FVTPL on one side and OCI accounting on the other side. I'll do it both simultaneously. Initially, when you purchased on purchase, entry would be investment account debit 100, and whenever there is transaction cost, that is not added to investment account. Hence, transaction cost is separately debited, which goes to P&L, to bank 102. But when it comes to OCI accounting, you add the transaction cost initially to your investment itself. In such case, investment account debit 102 to bank 102. Okay. Next, subsequently on valuation date, that is balance sheet date, on valuation, fair value has fallen down to 98 is what he says. Okay. So fair value is 98. In such case, your investment account will have to be reduced. Your investment account has to be reduced by 2 rupees. So P&L account debit to investment account 2 rupees, 2 rupees. Apart from this, on the same balance sheet date, this transaction cost which you have debited here, this also should be transferred to P&L account. Okay. So entry in this case, P&L account debit to transaction cost 22. Clear? So this is what you do in case on it is accounted using P&L. Now, how it will be differing when it is through OCI? If it is OCI, you would not touch the transaction cost. You would leave the transaction cost in the investment account itself. And second important thing, from OCI account, you are supposed to, in OCI account, you are supposed to identify any loss in the instrument. So he says, now the fair value has fallen down to 98 from 102. Hence, 4 rupees of loss has to be deducted. Okay. 4 rupees of value from investment has to be deducted. So it goes to OCI reserve as a debit. So entry in this case would be OCI reserve account debit 4 to investment account, investment at OCI 4. So this is the answer for this question which is left over in between. Now let us move ahead to liabilities. Fairly speaking, questions beyond this from assets are not asked. So I hope this clarification would do. Any questions from your side you can ask on financial assets so that I'll clarify before we go ahead to financial liabilities. Okay, I believe no questions. Let's move forward to financial liabilities. Now, as I have earlier mentioned, financial liabilities are accounted using either of these two methods, one being ACM, second being P&L. No concept of OCI at all. So with respect to financial liabilities, if you can identify contractual cash flows in the form of principal and interest, ACM would be adopted. If that cannot be identified, in such case, P&L would be adopted for your accounting. So it's as simple as that. So let us not waste much time on it now. Let's go ahead with the problems. Please see 15th question. Please see 15th question. A Limited has issued 10% debentures having face value of 1 lakh, redeemable after 3 years. Initial issue expense is 5,000. Show accounting in the books of A Limited. Now, what is he saying here? He says there is a debenture which is being issued at face value having 10% coupon rate, and initial issue expenses are 5,000 is what he says. So that means it's clearly evident that there are contractual cash flows in this particular instrument. There are contractual cash flows in this particular instrument. So let us prepare a time chart for this first, then we will solve the problem. So time chart, it is for 3 years, 0, 1, 2, and 3. In 0th year, you are actually receiving 1 lakh, but he says there is 5,000 of expense which you are incurring. Hence, it is effectively 95,000 of cash outflow, inflow for you, cash inflow for you, against which you are paying 10,000 of interest on debentures every year for 3 years. For 3 years, and at the end of 3 years, you are also paying the principal amount what you have received. So you are supposed to identify the effective interest rate EIR, which will be equal to 95,000. The rate at which these future cash flows will be equal to today's 95,000. Okay. So if we calculate again using that method, what I've told you in the morning session, that discount rate comes to somewhere around discount rate comes to somewhere around 12.09. So EIR, I have calculated and kept it for you. It is 12.09%. At this rate, the present value of these future cash flows will be equal to 95,000. Okay. So having understood this EIR concept, I do not want to further continue in it. So let us go ahead in preparing the debenture account. He has asked you for accounting. Let's prepare the debenture account. Okay. So please prepare debenture account. %9 debenture account using ACM. Okay. Now, initially, Initially, I received 1 lakh. I'm directly taking numbers, guys. I believe you all will be able to understand, but as I explained, please take down. Initially, I have received on the credit side 1 lakh, that is by bank. And at the same time, I incurred 5,000 rupees of expense. So net off, I have 95,000 of cash inflows. At the end of the year, I am supposed to account for interest expense at 12.09%, which I told you, 12.09% on 95,000. When I calculate 12.09% on 95,000, the value comes to 11,486. 11,486. But my actual cash outflow happens to be only 10,000, which will be debited here. And my balance at the end of first year, happens to be 96,486. 96,486. Same way you can do for the second and third years. Second year 96,486 on this 12.09% would be 11,665. And on the debit side, I pay 10,000 interest. I have a balancing figure of 98,151, and the same is brought down to third year, 98,151. On this, at the end, I pay 1,10,000. So the balancing figure, you can consider it as interest. Why I am taking interest as balancing figure is because I should close the account. Hence, it's only because of the fractions which might come. I'm avoiding, taking a computation here. So the balancing figure in this case would be 11,849. 11,849. So this is how you solve a problem using ACM in case of debentures. Now, to just clarify once again how we did it, whatever interest we have calculated here, 11,486 or 11,665 or 11,849, this is the amount of interest which will go to P&L. Actual amount of cash outflow, 10,000 every year and lakh and 10,000 in the third year. These are the amounts which will be paid to debenture holders, but payment is not really important. What is actually important is only your interest expense, which is calculated using EIR. Okay. So let us move to next question. X Limited issued zero coupon bonds for 7 lakhs and has incurred an issue expense of 5,000. These bonds are redeemed at par at 4 years time for 10 lakhs. Now, over 4 years time, you are identifying that there is a cash flow of 10 lakhs and today you are receiving 7 lakhs and you are incurring 5,000 of expense. So how do I account for such cases? So let us see. Yeah. So in this problem, he says in 0th period, I am receiving 7 lakhs, but I am incurring an expense of 5,000. So net of my cash inflow is 6 lakh 95,000. One second, guys. All right. Yeah, let's go ahead. Now, initially I received 6,95,000, but at the end of fourth period, I am going to pay back 10 lakhs. That is what it says. So you are supposed to find out that inherent rate. Inherent rate. So how do we do this? In fact, in SFM, you have a concept called bond valuation. I believe you all know that. So we will be applying the concepts of bond valuation here. Here it's a bond which has got a inherent rate of interest. Inherent rate of interest. So 10 lakhs is equivalent to 6,95,000 to the power into 1 plus R to the power 4. That is for 4 years. At the rate of interest of R for 4 years, if we calculate, it's supposed to become 10 lakhs. So work out such that you get R. So R would be somewhere around 9.52%. 9.52%. So yeah, thank you, Shivkumar. 9.52% is the rate. Okay. If you apply 9.52% rate on 6,95,000 for 4 years, you get it as 10 lakhs. Okay. So let us do accounting for this particular part. Accounting is very simple, guys. Initially, you received 7 lakhs and you spent 5,000, and on 6,95,000, you calculate interest at 9.52, which will be 66,164, and end of the year, the balance happens to be 7,61,164, and second year it is 7,61,164. On that again 9.52%, it comes to 72,463. Again total outstanding at the end of second year is 8,33,627. Now don't ask me why we have not taken repayment of interest, because there is no repayment of interest. It's a zero coupon bond. You are valuing it at a undervalue. You are valuing it today at a lower rate, and in future you are paying all the lump sum amounts together once. Okay, so there would not be any intermediary interest payments in between in this case. And third year again 8,33,627 on this interest at 9.52 comes to 17,9,361, and the total outstanding happens to be 9,12,988. And fourth year again 9,12,988 on this at 9.52. If you take, that would be a balancing figure. Here it is going to be 10 lakh payment actually to bank. You take it as 10 lakh, and the balancing figure here would be 87,012. So this is your problem. I hope you are able to follow. Any doubts you can ask? Yeah. All right. No questions asked. Let's move ahead. Seventeenth question, please see. A Limited has issued 8% perpetual bonds for 10,000. The market interest rate is 10%. Past journal entries for initial recognition of liability. Now, what is this about? Here he's talking about perpetual bond similar to what we discussed in the morning. If it is a perpetual bond, you are supposed to initially recognize it at original fair value. That's all. Okay. And subsequently, the balance amount is considered as equity, that is reserves and surplus. Okay. So let's do it. In case of a perpetual bond, you are supposed to identify the fair value of liability first. What is fair value of liability? Interest amount account debit, the market interest rate. So here interest amount is 8% on 10 lakhs, which is 80,000, divided by market interest rate for such instrument is 10%, 0.1. So that means the fair value of liability is supposed to be taken only as 8 lakhs. Okay. But you actually collected 10 lakhs. That means you have got a profit of 2 lakhs in this particular transaction. Okay. So in such case, the amounts collected in excess of 8 lakhs as liability today should be categorized as equity, that is reserves and surplus. So entry in this case would be bank account debit 10 lakhs to perpetual bond liability 8 lakhs to equity, which is basically your reserves and surplus 2 lakhs. Okay. So this is the answer for liability in case of a perpetual bond. Okay. So any questions in this you can ask, guys. We will move from financial liabilities to other topics now. In fact, interesting topics are only gonna start now. Till now, it's all basics. Any questions? All right. So let's move ahead. Compound financial instruments. It's not investments, it's instruments. Please correct it there. Compound financial instruments. I will explain what a compound financial instrument is. A compound financial instrument is an instrument which has got a financial liability component and also an equity component inside it. If these two coexist in an instrument, then I call it a compound financial instrument. Now, how accounting should be done in such cases? Standard says you are supposed to identify the fair value of each of these independently on initial recognition date and account going forward. Okay. So that's how accounting should be done. So let us pick up problems and then understand it better. Okay. So please see next question. 18th question. X Limited has issued 6% debentures of 1 lakh at par. These debentures are redeemable in cash or convertible into equity shares after 4 years at the option of the holder. The conversion ratio is 1 equity share for every 2 debentures. Similar instruments in the market carry interest rate of 10% without any conversion option. The face value of debenture and equity is 100. Okay. So the information what he has given here for us is for us to understand how I should identify the fair value of liability. Okay. So whenever a question of compound financial instruments are given, you are supposed to first understand fair value for the financial liability. If you understand the fair value for financial liability, you can automatically identify the fair value of equity, which will be the balancing figure, because equity always will have a residuary value. Okay, so let us understand how to calculate that. Now in this question he says the debentures issued are 6% debentures, 6% debentures at par, and redeemable in cash or convertible into equity after 4 years. So similar instruments in the market carry interest rate of 10%. That means if someone is not given an option to convert into equity, he will be paid 10%, that is greater than 6%. Okay, so you are supposed to consider that as market rate and arrive at the fair value of my instrument today. Okay, so how do I do that? So whenever you see a compound financial instrument, this is how you are supposed to solve. First step is calculate fair value of financial liability. Second, deduct this financial liability from instrument face value, which will give you fair value of your equity instrument. So these are the steps in solving any compound financial instrument problem. So let us go ahead and do it now. Yeah. So first step is, as I stated, calculating financial liability. How do I calculate? Same model again, present value of discounted cash flows, future cash flows. So you have year cash flows, discount factor at market interest rate of 10%, and discounted cash flows. These are the 4 columns which you maintain. Years, you have 4 financial years, 4 years in which transactions will happen, and cash flows are my cash flows in this company's cash flows. It is 6,000 at the end of first year, second year, third year, and 1,06,000 at the end of fourth year, because it's principal and interest together which I'm supposed to repay. Okay, so discount factor at 10% is 0.909, 0.8264, 0.7513, and 0.6830. And discounted cash flows, when you multiply these two, you get something, and the fair value of liability is sum of all discounted cash flows. So the sum would be 87,319. 87,319 would be fair value of liability. The moment you get to know the fair value of financial liability, it's easy for you to understand what is the fair value of equity component. So equity component, that is fair value of equity, is equal to 1 lakh minus this money, this amount, which gives me 12,681. I hope you are able to follow, guys. So once we are done with identifying fair value of financial liability and financial and equity instruments, equity components, we can go ahead with accounting. Okay, so let's go ahead with accounting now. Let's go ahead with accounting. On day 1, when I enter into the transaction, entry would be bank account debit, it is 1 lakh which I receive, to what is this, debenture liability account, it is 87,319, and to debenture equity component, it is 12,681. Okay, and next, subsequently, we prepare debenture account adopting principles of ACM for only 87,319. For only 87,319, we will adopt principles of ACM and prepare. And then at the end of 4 years, we do not know whether a holder will opt for cash alternative or equity alternative. So that is where our confusion starts. So let me prepare debenture account using ACM. Debenture liability account is being prepared now. So initially I got 87,319, and interest cost at 10% on this is 8732, and I paid 6,000 rupees of interest, which gives me a balance of 90,051 at the end. And second year, 90,051 is opening balance. Again, 10% on this is 9,005, and 6,000 is interest paid. Closing balance is 93,056. Third year, it is again 93,056, and interest happens to be 9306. Actual interest paid is 6,000. Okay, and closing balance happens to be 96,362. In the fourth year, market important. Fourth year is where all confusion could get started. 96,362 is the opening balance. On this, interest cost is 9,636, or no, whatever. Let us say this guy has chosen a cash alternative. If this guy has chosen cash alternative, I would pay him 1 lakh and send him across. Okay, in which case the interest component would be 9638. This is the balancing figure in this case. Okay, now this is the solution if the debenture holder has opted for cash alternative. Okay, the moment debenture holder has opted for cash alternative, whatever monies are left over in debenture equity account are no longer required to be maintained there. Yes or no? You need not showcase that as a liability, debenture equity part. So you can now transfer the entire amount to your reserves in surplus. So this is debenture liability account. In the same space on the side, I'll do debenture equity account also, so that all happens to be in the same place. Debenture equity. Debenture equity account. Initially, you would have taken it as 12,681 from your bank. That is initial entry what we passed. So after that, so in the fourth year, you will have by balance brought down of same 12,681. Okay, and this 12,681 is now going to be converted into reserves in surplus, because I don't have to maintain this any longer. Okay, So to equity, which is basically your reserves and surplus, you will transfer this 12,681 to reserves and surplus, and automatically the account gets closed. Okay. Now this is the first alternative if the debenture holder opts for cash alternative. What if he opts for, what if the debenture holder opts for equity alternative? So in such case, your fourth year accounting alone differs. Your fourth year accounting alone differs. I'll show you debenture account of fourth year and equity account of fourth year. That is debenture liability account for fourth year and debenture equity account for fourth year. So debenture liability account of fourth year will be like this. Your opening balance does not change, which is 96,362 is your debenture liability account, and 6,000 is the interest which you paid, and interest which we earlier calculated as 9638, and 1 lakh here, instead of paying it in cash, we will consider it as, we will transfer this money to debenture equity account. So automatically your debenture liability account gets closed. Fourth year alone there is a change. And debenture equity account, fourth year, if you see, opening balance would be same 12,681. Apart from that, now you have got 1 lakh as transfer from debenture liability. That please take here. This 1 lakh is nothing but this 1 lakh which has come down. Okay. And now he says debenture holders will be given 1 equity share for every 2 debentures held by them. Yes or no? That means out of these monies, I will issue equity shares to the face value of 50,000 only. Okay. So to equity share capital, it's going to be 50,000, because I have agreed to give away only 1 share for every 2 debentures held, and the balance will be transferred to equity, which means reserves and surplus. The balancing figure would be 62,681. Okay. So this is how your answer differs if the debenture holder opts for equity alternative instead of cash alternative. I hope I made it clear. Any doubts you can ask, please message. I believe no questions are being asked. Let's move ahead. So please see next question, 19th question. On 1st April 2015, Sigma Limited issued 6% convertible debentures of face value 100 per debenture at par. The debentures are redeemable at a premium of 10% on 31st March 2019, or these may be converted into ordinary shares at the option of the holder. The interest rate for similar debentures without conversion rate is 10%. Being a compound financial instrument, you are required to separate equity and debt portions on 1/4/2015. Equity portion is 1,85,400. Find out the debt portion. Present value of 10% for next 4 years are 0.91, 0.83, 0.75 and 0.68. Now this question is slightly tricky. Instead of telling you what is the initial amount invested by a debenture holder in the company, he has directly told you the equity components value, and the discount factors are also given. So all you are supposed to do is find out the actual original investment is supposed to be found out here. Okay, so let us do, whenever a problem like this is given where missing information is supposed to be found, one minute guys. All right. Yeah. So whenever a question of this kind is given, you do not know the number of debentures which are issued and the value at which it is to be identified. Okay. So let us assume the number of debentures as X. Okay. On the debenture, you know what is the face for the number of debentures, you know what is the face value, you know what is the interest being paid and all that stuff. So let us calculate present value of discounted cash flows considering X as a number here. Okay. So let us start with your present value calculation. So year cash flows discount factor at the rate which he has mentioned as 10%. He has given you the discount factors also. He has given you only two digits after decimal. Let us consider only that present value of future cash flows. Okay. So years are 4 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, and cash flows are I will take it as 6x because 6 rupees is being paid for each debenture. So 6x each year, and at the end of 4th year you will also be paying 110%, that is 110 rupees per debenture, that is 10% premium over the face value. Hence I will take it as 110x. Okay. And discount factors he has given you directly 0.91, 0.83, 0.75, 0.68 and 0.68. Please consider the same discount factors. And when you product these all, when you take product of all this, you would arrive at fair value of financial liability of X number of debentures. So this entire present value of future cash flows comes to 93.82x. Okay, 93.82x is the value which you get. And now post this, so fair value of financial liability is identified as 93.82x plus fair value of equity component is already given in the question, which he says 1,85,400. So the total of this is supposed to be called as net proceeds. Net proceeds should be equal to 100 into X. Okay. So now you know that 100x is equal to 93,828 93.82x plus 1,85,400. So I believe you can solve x, guys. I believe you all know how to solve x. So when you solve for x, so solution comes out like this. So 93.82x plus 1,85,400 is equal to 100x. So when you solve for x, you get it as 30,000. That means debentures are 30,000 numbers. Debentures are 30,000 numbers. Okay. So considering these numbers, now you are supposed to arrive at the fair value of the debt. So therefore, fair value of debt is equal to 30,000 into 93.82, which will be 28,14,600. This would be the final answer for you. Any doubts in this, please let me know. Okay, let's move forward. So no questions asked. Let's move forward. 20th question. Please repeat the last portion after finding out x. Okay, fine. Yeah, I'll get back. So once you find out x, the question is about, he's asking you what is the debt component. Okay. So fair value of debt component, initially you have calculated in the previous slide, please see. Fair value of financial liability is 93.82x. Okay. So in x place, this 30,000 is brought in, that's all. Okay. So 30,000 into 93.82 gives you 28,14,600 as fair value of debt. And fair value of equity is 1,85,400. That means the total net proceeds are 100 into 30,000, which is 30 lakhs. Okay. Right. So let's move forward. Next question, guys. At the beginning of year one, an enterprise issued 20,000 convertible debentures at par value of 100. The debentures have 6 years of time. Interest at annual rate of 9% is paid half yearly. The bondholders have an option to convert half of the face value of debentures into ordinary shares at the end of third year. The bondholders not exercising the conversion option will be repaid at par at the end of to the extent of 50 per debenture at the end of year 3. The non-convertible portion will be repaid at 10% premium and at the end of year 6. At the time of issue, the market interest rate was 10% without conversion option. Compute the value of equity component. Now, I believe in IPCC and also right now in SFM, you would be seeing a bond valuation chapter where when the instrument pays you return in quarterly, half yearly terms, in such case, you will split the year into periods. You will split the years into periods. The same has to be applied here also. Now, in this problem, what he says is normally 9% is the interest which is being paid. Yeah, 9% is annual rate which is paid half yearly. That means every half year you are supposed to calculate what is the interest. And second important thing, the market rate whatever is given is 10% for one full year. But when it comes to periods, it becomes for 6 months. For 6 months, it becomes 5%. Okay. So market interest rate also should be considered at 5% for discounting your cash flows. So that's one important aspect here. And thereafter problem is fairly easy only. So let us calculate, let us do this problem now. So this is a semi-annual bond. This is a semi-annual bond. Hence, you are supposed to calculate for various periods within the term given. Okay. Now, let us see. He says at the end of sixth period, debentures having 50% of the debentures will be redeemed, okay, or converted. That means at the end of sixth period, out of 20 lakhs, 50% will be converted or redeemed. That is for 10 lakhs. Okay. And what is the interest payment for first 6 periods? 1 to 6 periods. Interest is 20 lakhs into 9% into 6 by 12, which will be 90,000. Okay, each period it is going to be 90,000. Right? And next, from 7th period to from 7th period to 12th period, 7th period to 12th period, your interest would be 10 lakhs into, how did 10 lakhs come? I would have either redeemed 10 lakhs or I would have converted into equity. Okay. So at the beginning of 7th year, I'll be left only with 10 lakhs of liability. So 10 lakhs into 9% into 6 by 12, which comes to 45,000. So these are my important information what I need. And also most important thing, at the end of 12th period ending, my redemption value will be 110%, not 100%. Okay, is 110%. So I will be repaying 11 lakhs instead of 10 lakhs. These are few important information what I need. Okay. Now, considering these numbers, let us prepare our calculation of fair value in the current period. Okay. So, calculation of fair value of financial liability. Again, here you don't take years, please take it as periods. Cash flows, discount factor at 5%. It's not 10%, 5% because it's half yearly, okay, semi-annual, and discounted cash flows. Okay. So periods from 1 to 6, the cash flows are, I pay 90,000 of interest. Okay. And annuity factor at 5% for 6 periods. From 1 to 6 periods comes to 5.0757. Okay. And at sixth period, I have a cash outflow. In the sixth period. The normal discount factor happens to be 0.7462. from 7th period to 12th period, I'm going to pay interest of 45,000 for 6 periods. The annuity factor for 7 to 12 periods happens to be 3.7876. And at the end of 12th period, I have a cash outflow of 11 lakhs. These are my cash flows. Okay. So at 12th period, the discount factor happens to be 0.5568. Okay. So when you take product of all these, you get some value which would be 19,85,935, 19,85,935, which is your fair value of financial liability. And when you deduct this from your net proceeds, your initial net proceeds were, he says it is 20,000 bonds, 20,000 numbers into 100 rupees. So 20,000 into 100 are the numbers. So your equity component would be 20 lakhs minus 19,85,935, which gives me hardly 14,065. Okay. So this is my equity component. So this is the problem what he has asked you to do. I did it. Any doubts, please let me know. I will show you the screen for your convenience if someone has not copied. All right, no questions asked. Let's move ahead to next question. Yeah. So please see 21st question. Twenty-first question. 8% debentures having a face value of 2 lakhs are issued at par. These debentures are convertible into 1 lakh face value equity shares or redeemable at par at the end of 4 years. 4 years at the option of issuing company. The market interest rate is 12% per annum. The company has intention to convert. However, at the beginning of 3rd year, it intends to redeem the debentures intended instead of conversion. So there is a change in your mood in this case. Okay. So initially you thought you will, the company has intention to convert. So initially it was thinking, I will not incur any future cash outflow. That is, I will only issue equity shares is what was in my mind initially. But later stages, I thought, let me, instead of conversion, let me pay off the money. That means the company has become cash rich in between and it has changed its mind from equity to cash alternative. So automatically your accounting also should change. Okay. So how accounting changes in such case is what we are supposed to observe here. Okay. So calculation of liability and equity components is the same, though does not change at all. So let us do. First step is calculation of financial liability. Wherever you see such compound financial instruments, first calculate your financial liabilities and equity component values. Thereafter, look at what the question is. No problem also. Okay. Mostly any question of such kind, he will only ask you for calculation of financial liability and equity components. Predominantly, this is what being asked for many times now. Okay. So calculation of financial liability, first let us do. Again, same table, year, cash flows, discount factor at 12%, which he has given there, and discounted cash flows. These are the 4 columns, and years are 4 years, 1, 2, 3, and 4. In 4 years, my cash flows are, I will be paying 8% as my interest on these debentures, which comes to 16,000 of cash outflows each year. And at the end of 4th year, please see, initially I intended that I will not redeem them. That's why I am not going to take any cash outflow. Okay, any cash outflow, because I thought I will be converting them into equity. So in the first case, while we prepare the financial liability part, you are not supposed to take redemption value. Okay, so this is important learning here. Here you would not get the redemption value at all. Now, discount factor, he has stated it as 12%. So 12%, it is 0.8929, 0.7972, 0.7118, and 0.6355. Okay, and when you bring them down to present values, you get it as 48,600, which is fair value of liability. If fair value of liability is 48,600, fair value of asset is equal to 2 lakhs minus this value, which gives me 1,51,400. So initially I would have recognized my financial liability and equity like this. Okay, so your accounting also continues to be the same for the first 3 years. Post that, it has changed. Okay, so when you have a change in your opinion, how should I account for it is what this question is about. Okay, so initial recognition, it is 48,600 for financial liability and 1,51,400 for financial asset. From this, how does the answer change is what you need to observe. Now, you are supposed to calculate on the other side, on a separate on a separate note, you are supposed to calculate what the fair value of financial liability and equity would have been had the company opted for redemption option. That means you are supposed to do it afresh. You are supposed to do it afresh, assuming that the company will go for redemption option. Okay, so in such case, your cash flows, again the same concept will come. Year, cash flows, discount factor at 12%, discounted cash flows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, it is 16,000, 16,000, 16,000, 16,000, and also 2 lakhs. Okay, so discount factor at 12%, whatever you have seen here, you can take the same discount factors and calculate discounted cash flows. When you calculate the discounted cash flows, you get a value of 1,75,700. So this is fair value of liability if redemption option is chosen initially itself. Initially we did not choose, but still we need this working, which I'll tell you a little later. Okay, you need this working because you are supposed to convert the equity into liability now. Okay, so fair value of liability is supposed to be taken at 1,75,700, and automatically fair value of equity would be 2 lakhs minus this number. It gives you 24,300. Okay, so that means in the first case I calculated as the company intended initially, but since there is a change of mind in between, I have prepared this working also and kept with me. Why do I need this? Because I have to restate my financial liability and equity components in this particular instrument. Hence, I need these workings. Okay. Now, having done this, let us also do loan amortization table for the first method. That is initially whatever I have accounted for. Okay. Loan amortization table. Okay, loan amortization table. You will have particulars, years 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 years are there. So in this opening balance of financial liability under first calculation. So please go back and see. You have stated that 48,600 is your loan liability. Okay, so take it as 48,600. Add interest at 12% less payout, and then what you get is closing balance. So payouts are 16,000 each year for all the 4 years. Okay, and first year interest at 12% happens to be 5,832, and closing balance happens to be 38,432. Second year opening is 38,432, and interest is 4,612. Closing balance happens to be 27,044. Third year opening balance is 27,044. Interest is 3,245. Closing balance happens to be 14,289. Fourth year, it is 14,289. On which interest is 1,711 and closing would be 0. Okay. So these are your workings for your first calculation. Okay. Now, if you observe carefully, at the end of second year, your liability account will be showing a balance of 27,044. Right or not? Using the original estimate made by the company, 27,044 would be the value what company would be showing in its liability account. Okay, but in the beginning of third year, you have a change in your mindset. You thought you will not go for equity option. You thought you will move to redemption option. That means at the end of second year, which is beginning of third year, you have a change in mind which should be implemented in your accounting also. Okay, so for that, what do we do? I will have to calculate what the fair value of liability would be at this date for the next 2 years. Okay, please understand carefully. I will have to calculate what is the fair value of my liability at this juncture for next 2 years of cash flows. Okay, that means I will calculate and show. So right now I am in second year, ending of second year. I have third year, I have fourth year. I have future cash outflows of 16,000 and for fourth year also 16,000. Additionally, due to my change of intention, I am also going to incur 2 lakhs. And I want the present value at the end of year 2, not year 0. We have already walked through half phase. At this juncture, I want the present value of my future cash flows. So that means I'll have to calculate it at 12% for 2 years only. Okay. So this will be discounted at 1 year factor for 12%, and these two will be calculated at 2 years factor at 12%. Okay. Are you guys able to follow? No answers, no responses. All right, I'll repeat once again. I believe you guys have understood about first 2 calculations. First calculation is about first option chosen by the company. First option chosen by the company is it decided to go with conversion into equity. Hence, they have please see the screen. They have stated that financial liability is 48,600 and financial equity component of financial liability, this debenture happens to be 1,51,400. But however, later on at the beginning of third year, the company had a change in its mind. Hence, the liability component is identified afresh to understand what it would have been if it has chosen liability option, that is repayment option right from day one. Okay, so that calculation we have done. Now this table, loan amortization table, is about in the first alternative which we have chosen, accounting would have happened for first 2 years. That is what I am saying. This 27,044 would be the closing balance of your financial liability at this juncture. Okay, but at the beginning of third year, the company says it would like to repay its or redeem its debentures instead of converting them into equity. So what happens here is I have a requirement of identifying the fair value of liability at the end of year 2 for my future cash flows. That is what we are doing here. So when we discount 16,000 which we pay in the third year and 16,000 plus 2 lakhs which is paid in the fourth year, to second year alone, only up to second year, I would get to know what is the fair value of my liability at that juncture. Okay, so when we bring down these values to second year's value, second year's present value, the amount comes to 1,86,480. 1,86,480. But this 2 lakhs is not considered in the initial schedule. Which 2 lakhs are you talking about? Initially also. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In the first initial, in the first calculation of fair value, you have not considered 2 lakhs because initial plan was not to repay money. Instead give them equity. Hence you have not calculated, you have not considered here. But in the second time when you are changing your opinion, you decided that you will pay. Hence you are calculating this 2 lakhs now. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So now my revised fair value should be, fair value of liability should be 1,86,480 which is right now 27,044. Okay, that means I should increase my fair value. I should increase my fair value by, so if I deduct 27,044 out of this, I will have to increase 1,59,436 amount to be increased. Amount to be increased in financial liability. Okay. Now, from where should I gather this 1,59,436 is the question. Okay. Now, the first and foremost important part here is this 1,59,436 cannot be directly taken from equity. I'll tell you why. If you go back and see, initially you have 1,51,400, which is fair value of your equity component. This, but later on you are supposed to maintain 24,300 in your second option, which you have chosen now. Okay, that means if I have to consume monies out of my financial equity, this debenture equity, the maximum amount what I have is 1,51,400 minus 24,300. That's all. So that means 1,51,400 minus 24,300. The maximum what I can use out of debenture equity account is only 1,27,100. Okay. So only 1,27,100 can be transferred from debenture equity to debenture liability. Where will I get the balance from? The balance has to be taken from P&L account. So the final entry what is supposed to be passed for restatement, entry for restatement, one second guys, I have an office call. Yeah. So entry for restatement would be debenture equity will be debited for 1,27,100. How did I get this 1,27,100? It is 1,51,400 initially what I created minus what should be maintained in the second calculation. Okay. And to debenture liability account, amount is supposed to be 1,59,436. How did I get this number? It is nothing but what should be, which is 1,86,480, and what is right now, which is 27,044. This is end of second year. Okay, but this is required. Okay, now the balancing figure what I get here will be transferred to P&L account. So P&L account will be debited with 32,336. Okay, any questions you can ask guys? Any questions you can ask? I will share the answer for this problem separately, worked in my own handwriting, so that if at all you missed out something, it will be easy for you to follow. I'll do that. End of the day, I'll do that. So, but for now, any questions you can ask. Run through the problem once again. Okay, it's gonna take time. Instead, I'll share the answer by today evening. Considering the time constraints now, let's not. I don't want to. I'll separately call you otherwise. Okay, maybe post the class. Don't mistake me. Okay. Yeah, let's move to next question. I know, guys, it's. Can you explain 1,27,100? All right. See, redemption is at fourth year only, but we are now accounting for third year. Okay. So how did I get that 1,27,100 is what you're asking? Initially, you have created debenture equity of 1 lakh. Initially you have created debenture equity of 1,51,400, but right now you are supposed to maintain 24,300 only. So the balance amount I can transfer it to debenture liability account. It says in the beginning of third year. Let me see once. No, guys, please see carefully here. At the beginning of third year, it intends to redeem the debentures instead of conversion. That means its mindset is changed, but terms of the debentures did not change. Terms are at the end of fourth year only I'll redeem. Okay, terms did not change. Only my company's director's intention has changed. Instead of converting into equity, I have now thought of redeeming it off. So your last question, Sai Srikar, in question it says beginning of third year. It's only about intention getting changed, but not your redemption getting changed. All right. So let's go ahead to next question. A Limited has issued 6% debentures, face value 1 lakh, convertible after 3 years into equity shares with a face value of 50,000. Show accounting in the books of A Limited, assuming market interest rate is 12%. I believe you can do this really fast, but still I'll just quickly help you out. So firstly, calculation of fair value of liability, financial liability. You have 6,000 is what you are paying as 6,000 you are paying as interest for 3 years, and 6,000 into annuity factor at 12% for 3 years would come as somewhere around 14,411. 14,411. So therefore, fair value of equity component would be, fair value of equity component is equal to 1 lakh minus 14,411, which comes as 85,589. Okay. And entry in this case would be bank account debit to debenture financial liability to debenture equity component, which is 1 lakh 14,411 and 85,589. Okay. Next. So So at the end of each year, there will be interest payments, interest calculations at 12%, and again repayment of any payment of interest, actual payment of interest of 6,000, closing balances. Those are something which we are normally seeing. So at the end of third year, debenture is either converted into it is converted into equity. In such case, what happens is the question. Okay, so let us do it here. So debenture entries, if you see entries, or in fact amortization table itself is sufficient. So 3 years are there. Particulars, year 1, 2, and 3. Opening balance is 14,411. Interest at 12% is calculated, which comes to 1,729. Payout is 6,000 each year. 6,000 each year. Okay, and closing balance happens to be, in the first year it is 10,140. 10,140, and in second year again opening balance is 10,140. Interest happens to be 1,217, and closing balance happens to be 5,357. Closing balance in third year should be 0. Okay, third year closing balance should be 0. So 5,357 is the opening balance. Interest would be balancing figure here, which is 643 rupees. 643 rupees. Okay. Now what he has mentioned is, at the end of year 3, these are getting converted into equity. This is getting converted into equity. So entry at end of year 3, at third year end, entry would be debenture equity component account debit. You already have 85,589 in your account. You already have 85,589 in your account, against which you are issuing equity share capital to the tune of 50,000. Please see the question. He says 50,000 worth of 1 for every 2 equity shares will be issued, and the balance left over in debenture equity account will be transferred to free reserves, that is to equity. Under Ind AS, please be careful, guys. Equity means free reserves. Equity share capital means only equity share capital. Okay. So equity, it is reserves and surplus. Here it happens to be 35,589. Okay. So this is the solution for this question. Any doubts you can ask? All right, let's move ahead. Or else, since we are at the break time, almost reaching the break time. All right, I'll do that. So it's 4:20 now. Let's take a break. We will get back by 4:35. Okay.